Hello. Thank you for being here. My name is Chrissy Hodges and I'm going live on Facebook and will be posting this on my YouTube afterwards. It's been a bit of a while since I've done a live video on Facebook on my own page and then in particular for YouTube. So my apologies. I have been really busy in dealing with getting the Game Changers event together and all of that, and I've been wanting to post a video, but I don't like doing them when I'm not feeling like I have and this is not OCD. It's not just right. But you know, when I feel like I don't have the right topic that I really feel passionate about to talk about. With that said also, I do have people reach out to me asking me to do particular topics, and I do keep a queue of things to do videos on. With that said, I sometimes kind of follow the ebb and flow of what I'm hearing a lot in regards to when the emails I receive from people, and also when I'm working with people in peer support, kind of the common themes that people are saying, common concerns and things that they're dealing with. And oftentimes when I get enough of the same thing that's said over and over and over, I think, wow, it sounds like I should do a video on this particular topic. So I do have a lot of other ideas, and thank you for the suggestions but I will get to most of them if I feel like it's a place where I can offer any sort of lived experience and just anything I think that might be valuable on your own journey with OCD. With that said, today I am kind of all over the place with what I want to talk about, which does not line up with what I just said. I do realize that, but I thought what I really wanted to do today is address a few things that I've seen kind of constant lately, and I feel like if I'm hearing it from the community, then not that I can offer any advice or anything, but just to say, hey, I hear what you're saying, you're not alone, and I have felt all of these things too. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is the big question, and I've done a video on this before, but if you've watched it over and over, you're probably tired of it, and so I thought I would just touch on it again, and it is the secondary fear that we live with when you have OCD, often with the pure O, which is intrusive thoughts with mental rituals. Because we can't see the compulsions and the rituals, we often get caught in the loop of, is it really OCD? Or am I just in denial? Or what if it's not OCD and the thoughts are real? So I've seen a lot of this lately. Trust me, I see it all the time anyway, but it really seems to be amped up in what I'm hearing, and I just wanted to make sure to address that. Now, as you know, not going to give reassurance, but I do want you to know that this is something that you're not alone with. The most common secondary fear I experience is, what if this isn't OCD and what I'm dealing with is real? It does not matter what the theme is. It doesn't matter if it's sexual intrusive thoughts, violent, if it's a real world issue, if it's whatever else. No one could say directly to me that it is OCD and I'm 100% convinced. So if we break that down, isn't that the nature of the illness in general? We need 100% certainty. And when we get to 99.9, we're like, oh, I have all this evidence, but that 0.1 might be true. And so again, as I've said before, we spend a lot of time spinning our wheels on that one little hint of doubt. So one of the things that helps me, and I've shared this with a lot of you, and I maybe have shared this on videos before, is I cannot trust my brain to convince me that I'm experiencing OCD. But the one thing I can trust is my behavior. I know this because I have a 30+ year run with OCD. There has never been a time in my life when OCD has spiked up that I have been able to say, this is OCD, yahoo, let's get to work and it's all gonna be okay. It is not like that. It is like a big explosion that goes off in the midst of all that, and me going, oh my God, this isn't OCD this time, this is for real, and I don't even have OCD, and everything is a lie, and all these people are getting paid just to lie to us, yada, yada, yada. What I can trust, and typically what happens is when I get too fed up and too exhausted from the cycle of doing compulsions, I have to turn around and kind of face the OCD mirror and go, okay, I am practicing avoidance. I am doing rumination. I am Googling. I am mentally reviewing. Even though my brain will go, oh, but this time it's real, I have to trust that these are the things that I do every single time OCD shows up. And it always gets me stuck in the same rut. It always sends me down the OCD rabbit hole. I'm so familiar with that rabbit hole that no wonder it feels so comfortable. Not comfortable like exciting, but I just almost, it feels better to be there and fighting the idea that the thoughts are real than to go, okay, maybe I could stop the behaviors, because that feels so dangerous, doesn't it? It feels unsafe to say, if I don't engage in the compulsions, then something bad might happen, or this might prove something about me, or it might tell me something about me, when in reality, the compulsions are what is keeping us so stuck and driving us deeper into the hole. I posted something on Instagram yesterday, and I can't remember the actual quote that I used, but it was something along the lines of, the fuel for OCD is for us to continually engage with it. Now, as easy as that sounds of, well, just don't engage. I mean, and you know we get this from people too. People that don't understand, well, just don't think about it. Oh, thank you for letting me know that, because I haven't spent 30 years thinking that. But aha, just because you said it, now I know. No, I'm just kidding. I'm being mean. It seems so simple, and it is so simple, but it feels too scary to be able to really just say, okay, well, I'm just not going to do this and everything will stop. No, because our logical brain starts to tell us that there are dire consequences if we don't at least explore what dire consequences for us or somebody else. What if I snap and do this? What if something happens and I lose control? Yada, yada, yada. So with that said, the horrible message of this video is you're never going to know it's OCD. That's awful. I am sorry to have to say it to you. Meaning, like, you'll never be able to convince yourself logically that it's OCD. Why? Because it feels so real, and we use that and compare it to other experience and say, but this felt real, and then that became real. So what if this one does? Keyword, what if? So the only way we can convince ourselves is to really be cognizant of our behavior and trust that if we're doing the same behaviors that we were doing before, it may or may not be OCD, no reassurance there, but I tend to trust my behaviors when it comes to avoidance, rumination, mental reviewing, reassurance seeking, all of that stuff. And I can safely say it may or may not be OCD, but hey, at least now I know this is why I'm doing this, and maybe I do some exposure response prevention around this, and we'll see what happens. Again, not able to convince myself, but still convince myself enough to take action. And that's what you want to do, because OCD drags you down the rabbit hole and wants you to stay frozen. Don't leave, don't move, you stay here until you figure it out. Well, you're not going to figure it out. And I hate to have to say that, but we know this. If we were going to figure it out, we would have figured it out already if we could use our logical brains. It doesn't work that way. So get out and do stuff. Do what you would normally do every day, and you can do it and take anxiety with you. You think you can't, but you can. Don't let OCD stop you from living your life. It can come alongside you, it can walk with you and maybe poke you and torment you a little bit, but that doesn't mean you still can't go out with friends, that you still can't, bathe your children, that you still can't go to work, that you still can't watch movies or shows that you once loved, but now you can't because you're triggered. You can still do these things. They may not feel comfortable, but you can. So that's that. Most common secondary fear that I hear from people: what if it is OCD? What if it's not OCD and the thoughts are real? What if it's not OCD and I'm in denial? So Can't reassure you, but just want you to know you're not alone. And likely most OCD therapists know that you're thinking that too, and they can also address that with exposure response prevention therapy. So with that said, I'm going to try, gosh, I got to keep this semi-short. I'm going to see Gone with the Wind later tonight in the theaters. I can't wait. Okay, so next thing, I really wanted to address this because I've heard this so much. I have felt this so much. I hate hearing this, but it is, I am a bad person for having these horrible, intrusive thoughts, and I don't deserve a good life. Now, you may say one or the other, you may say both, you may think both of them, and you don't want to admit it, I don't know, but this is super common. The big time with the really heavy intrusive thoughts, sexual violent intrusive thoughts, scrupulosity, things like that, or any of them are, I am a bad person. Now, there's two ways I look at this. I'm a bad person because what kind of person has these kind of awful thoughts, that are awful about other people or kids or animals or myself or my family? What kind of person has this? Yes, we know. The simple answer is everybody. Everybody has intrusive thoughts. Everybody has fleeting thoughts that they're like, what is that? Yada, yada. Okay, that doesn't help us. We can think that all day long, and we still think them, we still feel them, and we're just like, I don't care. It's worse for me, right? So the reality is there's that where you feel like what kind of person has these thoughts, and then there's the flip side. If you have thoughts that you don't think are necessarily wrong. So when I had HOCD, the fear of turning gay, I had the thoughts, but I didn't feel like a bad person. Well, I did actually. I felt like a bad person, because why would I have that thoughts when I don't think gay is being wrong? That was hard for me. And then I was like, well, what does that mean if this is supposedly a taboo thought? I don't want to label people who are homosexual as taboo. But so that was one issue. And then the next issue was, when I got treatment and I was still labeling myself as a bad person for having those thoughts, it was like, well, those aren't bad thoughts if I don't think that being gay is bad. But this is where it turned for me on the you must be a bad, stupid, weak person. It's the ego dystonic piece. What kind of moron has thoughts, has, insight, at times, sometimes, I was so convinced they were real or whatever, but what kind of idiot has these thoughts, knows that they don't align with what they really want, but can't stop thinking them? That must make me an awful person, or at least a person not deserving of a good life, not deserving of a good job, not deserving of people loving me. And that, my friends, was a really hard pill to swallow. Just coming to terms with that. Not even as, and so I know there are several layers to this. So if you have like that POCD, harm OCD, things like that, I know that there's a layer of guilt and shame. I know it. And I know it's that coming to terms with, oh my God, what kind of person would have these thoughts, especially about people that we love. But also if these thoughts aren't real and it is OCD, what kind of idiot can't know the difference and can't just stop them? This is so hard for us. And I do want to offer, a bit of an explanation that helps me. Again, it's not really reassurance. But one of the things I really try to remember is this. This is a medical condition. This is not Chrissy, and who I am as a person, and my morals and my values, which is why acceptance commitment therapy can be so good to stay connected with your values when you're dealing with this. This is not me. And if I continue to engage my logical side and think, I must be an awful person because I just couldn't stop it, then yes, I am going to go down that dark, dark hole and think, and probably believe that I'm a moron and I don't deserve a good life. But would you say that to somebody who has diabetes or a heart condition or someone who lost a limb, like an arm or something? Would you say to them, well, because you don't have an arm, you don't deserve a good life. You should be able to think your arm back or think your pancreas to work. That doesn't make sense, does it? And I know in your mind, your OCD is probably going, well, I can make sense out of it. And you're probably rationalizing or taking something that I said incorrectly, and the OCD is trying to justify it in some way. But What I want to try to relieve you of is most of us feel that way, and most of us punish ourselves for a while during and after therapy. We punish ourselves thinking that we should have done more, we should have been better, we shouldn't have done this, we could have done this. Those are shaming words. I have said this before. They're shaming words. You are where you are today. Let's not shame ourselves into thinking that we could be different. Let's not shame ourselves into thinking our life could be different, if only. Let's start today and say, this is what I know now. What can I do to move forward? And that brings me to my final point, which is the daunting fear and the daunting trauma that's ahead of us after experiencing OCD. I'm going to say this again. I will say it as long as I can make videos. OCD is traumatic. OCD showing up is traumatic. The symptoms are traumatic. The freaking therapy is traumatic. And then processing and grieving the illness is traumatic. Trauma changes our brains. It changes how we view the world. It changes who we are. However, it does not change our core character in our person. And that's one of the things that we struggle with the most, right? Ever since OCD, I've changed. I'm not the same person I was before. You're thinking that because your thoughts are telling you, because I have sexual intrusive thoughts, my libido is down. Because I have sexual intrusive thoughts, I'll never enjoy sex with my boyfriend or my girlfriend again, because I've had sexual or violent intrusive thoughts about kids, then I can never have babies and I can't have a family and I don't deserve a family. Okay, so I get it. But this is trauma related to an illness. It is not who you are. You need to hear that from me. OCD is not who you are. It is an illness. Again, a medical condition. You can choose to believe me or not. I know it feels real. And I know that your brain's probably arguing, well, mine isn't really OCD. I really don't have OCD. These thoughts are real. So you could go back and watch this video again and review point 1, which is, is this OCD and not denial? So anyway, here's the thing. Yes, we have OCD the rest of our lives. It feels daunting. It feels terrifying, right? It feels, and almost, if you're contemplating therapy, you're like, well, why would I even go to therapy if it's not going to take OCD away? Okay? So I'm going to give you a very unrelated example to help you with this. I have this injury on my foot. Y'all know about this if you've seen my videos, because I was talking about it a year and a half ago. When I went to my physical therapist, she told me what it was. It's Morton's neuroma, and she says it will never go away. I grieved for months over that. Months. This injury will never go away. I could maybe have surgery, but like the surgery rate is minimal. And I just thought, well, what am I going to do? And I stewed on it for so long, not reaching out to get help, not even pursuing help because why? It felt so much easier to just sit here and feel sorry for myself and go, I can't deal with this. Just like OCD makes us when we're triggered. I can't go and do the world. I'll never be this again. I'll never be this person, and my life is over. And this person I used to be, this athlete that used to run miles and miles, they're over. Till finally I was just like, oh, fuck it. I've got to do something. And I went through a couple different physical therapists to help. Some of them didn't help. Yes, I went through the whole, oh my God, they didn't help, nobody can help, yada, yada, yada. And I went through again, I'll never be the same, yada, yada. I finally found somebody who had a different approach. She specializes in this. And finally, in the last month, I can walk without pain. I can start to do things again, and I have that hope. But I want you to remember, the injury's still there. It's never going away. And I can choose to buy into the sadness and the anger and my life will never be the same, or I can choose to say, this is something I'll have the rest of my life, and I can work at this every day to learn to manage it. And I've been working for months, y'all. Months, and I finally had a breakthrough. I wanted to leave you with that example because of this. You have probably been suffering for months with OCD. Or maybe you just got it too. Maybe you just got symptoms and realized it's OCD too. It doesn't matter. Let's not do comparative OCD, by the way. Suffering is suffering, the end. It feels scary to think, I'll never be the same. My life will never be okay. But you have choices. You have choices. In the midst of suffering, it feels like you don't, but I promise you can still move, you can still get up, you can still do stuff, and you can still work toward a better life. There's therapy, there's mindfulness, there are workbooks. Jonathan Grayson, Freedom from OCD, Freedom from Obsessive and Compulsive Disorder. Jonathan Abramowitz, Getting Over OCD. John Hirschfield, the 3 Johns. Mindfulness book for OCD. There are a lot of things that you can do, but the biggest thing is just get moving. Just start looking, just start searching. And maybe it takes months to feel better, like it was for me with my injury, and that was the way it was for me with OCD. But you still got to get up, and you still got to try. That's what I've got for you today. I hope this was helpful. I've missed doing the videos, but I love our community. A couple things. I have a video of my event available at my website, ChristyHodges.com. It's $40. All proceeds go to a nonprofit that I'm creating, OCD Game Changers, to try to get resources and help to those worldwide that are having accessibility and financial difficulty, cultural stigma, pieces like that, where they can't access treatment. The goal of OCD Game Changers nonprofit will be to help find creative ways to connect with that community. So stay tuned for more details about that, but visit me on my website at ChristyHodges.com to find out more and to purchase the video. If you're looking for peer services, I am a certified peer support specialist in Colorado. I also can help refer you to therapists either in your area, or if there are none, find therapists that are willing to do international or across state lines. All that information, also services and pricing, at my website, ChristyHodges.com. Thank you for being here. One final thing, OCD does not change the person that you are. I know it's going to tell you it does, but remember, you have the choice. Get up and get moving, because you can do whatever you want, even if anxiety is there. It might be uncomfortable, but you can still do it. See you next time.